All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you are all here. Go ahead, get comfortable, grab your coffee, tea, energy drink, whatever gets you through webinars without mentally checking out. But you're not necessarily going to need those today because it's not going to be one of those dry, let me read the brochure to you presentations. We're doing story time, the hidden powers of home health care. And I promise you, by the time we're done, you're going to see why home health care needs to be part of almost every client conversation you have. First up, I got to brag a little bit about Golden Care. Just a minute. So, frankly, a lot of agents don't fail because they're lazy or unmotivated. They fail because they're trying to go at it alone. So why Golden Care? Well, it brings you not just product access, it's support, tools, strategy. You've got a vast product portfolio of options, the back-end support, product training, comparison tools, and so on. And all that stuff matters because it makes your life easier and helps you place more business. And let me translate one of my favorite lines on this slide, superior personal back-end support. That means when you call, you don't end up in voicemail purgatory or get emotionally abandoned by an automated menu tree of options. You get real people, people who understand the products, people who understand underwriting, people who know how to help you pivot when needed. And that matters, especially with, home health care, because this product is one of the easiest ways to plug that Medicare gap or when long-term care, short-term care, or hybrids just don't fit. And so, don't look at home health care like some side dish in the extended care conversation. It's often the thing that keeps conversation alive. So officially, welcome to the Hidden Powers of Home Healthcare. My name is Morgan Barth. I am a regional director here at Golden Care. And today I want to do more than just explain the product mechanics. I'm going to tell you a few stories that might hit home for some of you. So let's start off with the money, because care conversations always become money conversations. So this slide shows the national averages of, roughly $30 per hour median cost for home health care aides to come in. Um, that's about 5,000, a little over $5,000 per week for 24/7 care, and around 21,000, just almost 22,000 per month for full-time in-home assistance. So these are excellent talking points because they immediately shift people from, that sounds nice to, wait, what? So the message I am throwing out there is home health care without a plan is expensive and can get really expensive fast. So, and these are life altering expenses. And the reason this matters so much is because most people don't need, the nursing home care or assisted living first. They need help at home first. So, are your clients covered? If not, why not? Because it's affordable compared to traditional long-term care or the hybrids. It's focused where 80 to 90% of people want to receive care in their home. The underwriting, it's very lenient. If your heart's beating, you're basically approved, and approvals are fast. It's also flexible, and it's perfect for that client that said, I waited too long. Selling long-term care or Medicare products or any type of extended care without also offering home health care is like it's like selling a boat without a trailer. Sure, they bought the boat, but good luck getting it home or getting it where it needs to be, home first. So let's look at what products we have within our portfolio. Um, what I love about our home healthcare portfolio, it gives you options for the different buyer preferences or, their circumstances. We have GTL, short-term home health care, Manhattan Life's Home Health Care Select, and their new enhanced version, and Aetna's Home Care Plus. I'm not going to delve into all the bells and whistles of these products, but just going to do, a quick few highlights. Let's look at GTL for a second. One of the big standout features with GTL is the T-Care. It's family caregiver support plus, which is it's a $3,500 lump sum cash benefit that does restore one time after the first use. There's different plan options. This is kind of similar to the Manhattan Life, which we're going to take a peek at next. And then that goes up to your maximum daily benefit amount based off of which plan that you use or select. And Manhattan Life, similar setup. And the headline here is simple and powerful. Only 2 health questions with lifetime renewability with this product. It's the enhanced version is stronger, there's more flexibility now. Some of the features that were enhanced is 365 days on the home health care aid, up to $900 on the RX benefit. That's an annual benefit. That also, you can, I won't necessarily say restores, but it's an annual benefit that you can use up to $900. And then also that covers the 90-day prescription fills now. There's also a homemaker benefit to pay the family or friends when, additional care is needed. And that also pays, cool feature, pays on top of the base benefit plan. So, if you select, let's say the deluxe, oops, sorry, let me go back here. The deluxe option, they got $450 a day. They have nursing care come in, physical therapy that goes up to $400. They can also collect on this homemaker benefit of $75. In addition to this, it's not factored into that daily maximum amount. And also, let's see, what else? Oh, no elimination period, benefits restore for the life of the policy. So listen, Linda, you need to start selling this product. But, for real, the enhancements are huge, and we're seeing great success with this product. There's been a huge amount of sales, like right off of the release of this new product. And last up, we got Aetna's Home Care Plus. And the hidden power here is you got the name recognition, that lowers resistance with the skeptical buyers. There's clients who fight you harder over the unfamiliar carrier, than they will over the premium sometimes. And sometimes when they're here Aetna, the walls come down a little. It's also a solid plan with great benefits. And good news, these products are available in a broad number of states. I'm not going to read all of these states and list them off, but you guys will get these slides afterwards, so you can use this map as a reference point. And now let's get into the fun part, story time. All right, meet our 3 lifelong friends, Cindy, Nancy, and Betty. These women have been through everything together: life, family, stress, aging, opinions, probably some arguments over casseroles, whose kid turned out the most successful, and who's got the cutest grandchildren, common things. And now they're all facing the same big life question. What happens if I need help at home, and do I need a plan? The beauty of these stories is they represent 3 very common real-world client types. You got the person with no extended care coverage, with the belief it's, an unnecessary purchase, the person who has been declined elsewhere, and most common, I would have to say, is the person who thinks Medicare is going to cover everything. So let's set the scene here. We got Cindy. She's 72, widowed, independent. She's the glue of the family and the type who says, I don't need help. I've got this. She represents a huge segment of clients who simply have no extended care coverage at all. We got Betty. She's 68. She puts everybody else first, for years, and now it's gotten to the point that she has enough health history stacked up that traditional long-term care or short-term care aren't options as the result in declines. She's the client that who thinks that I guess I missed my window. And Nancy, she's 76, organized, skeptical, and very confident in her planning. She's the one who says, "Why would I pay for that? I have Medicare." She also doesn't love unfamiliar carriers, so she's going to buy something. She wants a name that she knows. If you've sold long enough, you know all three of these women. All right, let's start up with Cindy. So it's Saturday morning in the spring. Windows are open, fresh air is coming in, birds are chirping, and Cindy decides it's time for, a deep clean. Apparently, I guess in retirement, hopefully I get there one day, it means you finally have time to notice how dirty the top of the cabinets are. So she gets up on her step stool, reaches a little too far, and down she goes. Doesn't break anything, but she dislocates her hip. She's in serious pain. She calls up her old pal Betty, who rushed her to the hospital. Doctors reset it, stabilize her, and then they tell her, all right, you're okay to go home. You're probably going to need help for, 4 to 6 weeks. Help with getting out of bed, dressing, just moving around safely, basic daily routines. And this is where people get blindsided because, again, Medicare may cover some, intermittent skilled home health services if you qualify, but it doesn't cover that, like the homemaker services, shopping, cleaning, meals delivered to home, or custodial personal care when sometimes, in this case, that's the only care that she really needs. So that means if Cindy needs ongoing everyday assistance, the family is often staring at, or Cindy herself out of pocket costs immediately. She's looking at $25 to $30 an hour or more for help. She's got her pals Betty and Nancy to pitch in, but they can't move in. They have their own lives to attend to. The result, Cindy drains a substantial amount of her savings. And this is a critical point. Cindy thought she would never need any coverage, possibly rely on family and friends, not considering the burden, caregiver burnout, and those unpaid caregivers, their own financial loss. Let's rewind Cindy's story for a minute here. Same Cindy, same spring cleaning, same fall, same dislocated hip, same recovery time. This time, she made one small decision ahead of time. She bought a GTL short-term home health care plan. Now, suddenly the story looks very different. Instead of scrambling to pay for care and draining her savings, also leaning on Betty and Nancy, she has daily cash benefits to use for home health care aides, that help with that recovery. $150 daily benefit for assistance with her ADLs. She also has coverage to pay for physical therapy. That's up to $200 on the plan that she selected. And that's add that all up, it's $3,150 a week. So let's factor that in. And the T-Care also with this policy, that $3,500 lump sum. So, now Betty are not just the only plan. Yes, they can help, but they're not carrying the whole load. And they can get paid for it too. So, one of the hidden powers of home health care doesn't just help the insured, it can help the whole family system or friend system, particularly this group in this story. The Cindy story is it is the client with no coverage at all, the majority of people that you will talk to, and that's exactly why home health care belongs in the conversation. This is a very relatable story. A lot of people may just be, one awkward household injury away from learning a hard lesson and thought, I'm okay. I don't need that type of coverage. So don't let the Cindy's out there have to learn the hard way. You got to offer them a home health care policy. Moving on. All right. Let's talk about Betty. All right. Betty is 68. Life has stacked up enough medical history on her chart that, she's a very different underwriting conversation than she was 10 years ago. In this example, we're looking at a client that waited too long for a solid comprehensive plan, and she was declined from traditional long-term care and short-term care. She has diabetes, lowered her 50 units of insulin. She had a stroke a year ago, and she has a family history of dementia, and these are declining factors depending on the type of policy. And after the declines, many clients, they emotionally check out, shut down, give up. They think, oh, I waited too long. There's nothing left for me. I guess I'll just deal with it if something happens. And that mindset, it's incredibly common. And if the agent agrees with them, conversation over, sale gone, client unprotected. This is where a good agent saves the client and the sale, not by being pushy, or just by pivoting smarter. Continuing on. So instead of saying, sorry, Betty, nothing we can do, the agent actually says, hey, Betty, I do have another option. That option is the Manhattan Life Home Health Care Enhanced Plan. There's only 2 knockout questions. So basically, if you're breathing and oxygen on your own, you qualify. So after looking at, the robust benefits in this plan, Betty says yes. She buys a policy. She's feeling relieved. And, now that she's got a plan in place. Let's fast forward a little bit. She's at her grandson's soccer game, one of her favorite places to be. She's basically one of those cheerleaders on the sidelines, like she's coaching the World Cup final. But yeah, she's on the sidelines cheering. She steps on uneven ground, falls awkwardly, and tears her ACL. Now she's looking at rehab, limited mobility, and help at home with, everyday life tasks. And without the coverage, family schedules get rearranged, savings start, draining, and everybody suddenly becomes a part-time care coordinator with no training, or they got bad knees of their own. But since she purchased that home health care deluxe plan that pays up to $450 daily for care, with the homemaker benefit, she can also pay her family and friends an additional $75 a day, up to $6,000. And fun fact for you all, after recovery and coming off claim for 6 months, both base plan and homemaker benefit will restore. There is unlimited restoration with this policy. So how about that? Huge selling point. All right, and listen up, because now I'm going to be a little direct for a second. So if you walk away the second you hear declined or see declined, you're doing 2 expensive things. You're leaving your client without a solution with substantial out-of-pocket costs, and you're leaving your own money on the table. Just because a client gets declined doesn't mean the conversation is over. Just means you need to pivot, and with the team here at Golden Care, we can help you do that. All right, this is, I really like this slide because a lot of people don't factor this in. Policy can pay for itself. Why? Well, let's look at her home health care. I really stacked this up. She had the deluxe plan. I added all the riders. Her annual premium is $891.68. And then I added in her prescriptions that she takes. For sake of embarrassment, I am not going to pronounce these, but she does have one brand name right here for her diabetes, and then she takes 2 generic. And just, I mean, the brand name alone, look at that cost. But her total monthly cost is $511.67. And then remember, on the deluxe plan, it's now up to $900 RX benefit reimbursement. So factoring that in to the premium she's paying of $891.68, now her premium is now $0. And since, she's obviously going to collect over her total annual RX benefit amount, factoring in her annual amount is $6,140. It's actually making $800 or $8.32. So huge selling point. If this doesn't open your eyes, I'm not sure what will. So keep that in mind next time you're presenting these policies. I'm going to wrap up with Nancy. Remember, she's the practical, organized, yet skeptical, very cautious about purchasing insurance. So when the topic of home health care coverage, came up years ago, she said the same, as saying that a lot of you agents here, why would I buy that? I have Medicare. So the result, she has no plan in place. And a few years later, Nancy is diagnosed with cancer. She goes through treatment, has a few ER visits, and ends up in a longer hospital stay. But thankfully, she eventually stabilizes, and the doctor tells her, "Well, you're well enough to go home, but you're going to need some help." And at first, Nancy isn't worried. She assumes Medicare will step in and cover what she needs. But this is where the big Medicare gap becomes painfully real. Medicare may cover a portion of the hospital stay, but services like the 24-hour care, the homemaker, like services like grocery shopping, cleaning, custodial, or personal care excluded unless they are part of a qualified skilled visit. In other words, clients hear the phrase, home health within Medicare and assume it means health at home, but the reality is it's much more limited. Nancy's story is common because Medicare's home health benefit is one of the most misunderstood parts of Medicare. Even advocacy groups and surveys of home health care agencies have found that widespread misunderstanding and inconsistent information about what care can actually be covered at home. So when a client says they have Medicare, I'm covered, they're not resisting the offer of additional coverage, they're just unaware of the gap. So rewinding Nancy's story, same diagnosis, same discharge, same need for help at home, but this time Nancy bought an Aetna Home Care Plus policy. And because Aetna is a household name, she's comfortable with the plan you offer. Familiarity can, sometimes lower resistance with clients. So, with this plot twist, Nancy's plan provides indemnity cash benefits during her recovery at home and fills the out of pocket costs within her Medicare coverage. Bonus, on top of that, she has the cancer fixed indemnity rider that she added on. So she can receive up to $10,000 upon her diagnosis. It means cash, not just later during recovery, but on the front end, when that financial shock first hits. And she could use this for, travel from treatment, household bills, family support, immediate out of pocket expenses, whatever. It's a lump sum cash indemnity benefit. And Nancy, this story, it's not one off. It's happening every day. She didn't make a reckless decision. She made a very normal one. She trusted Medicare to do a job it was never designed to do. So agents, this is your job during Medicare conversations. Do not assume your clients understand the gaps. Most don't. So use every Medicare enrollment, as every Medicare enrollment review as an opportunity to educate them on what Medicare covers and what it doesn't. and where home health care protection can fill the gap. So if you're, already reviewing their drug plans, their premiums, and networks, it's a perfect time to ask. If you needed help at home that Medicare didn't cover, what's your plan? So you're basically you're enhancing the original purchase by simply presenting your clients with additional meaningful options. And honestly, it's time to get comfortable in a product arena you may not be comfortable in. We can help you with that. Call us. And here we are, my friends. Bottom line, it's affordable, it's needed, it sells, it saves families financially. If you walk away with one line today, let it be this: home health care fits in almost every client conversation. If you don't mention it, I promise someone else will. All right, we're wrapping up, guys. And before we go, here's the dream team. If you need help with quotes, underwriting questions, product positioning, sales, training or language to use, case design, you name it, that's literally what we're here for. You don't need to solve every case on your own. Let us help you out, turn more conversations into place business. And I thank you all so much for being here today. Keep an eye on your inbox. You'll be receiving your CE voucher, full copy of the slides, recording. And as always, remember you're never alone when you partner with Golden Care. And let me pull in. I see you're on here. Manny, do you see any questions that popped in?
Hey Morgan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we did get a couple of questions. One agent was having some problem with sound. I'm hoping that I answered her and she got the sound done. We got another question. What triggers these types of benefits for the home health care plans? What would be the benefit trigger?
Sure.
Uh,
So you can go ahead and answer if you'd like, Manny.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to go ahead and say it's almost identical to short-term care plans, home health care plans. It's your doctor certifying that you need help with 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, and or you have a cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's that requires supervision. So 2 out of 6 ADLs or a cognitive impairment that requires supervision on all of these home health care plans. And
Yeah,
it
so
has to be certified by your physician.
super easy to access, the cash. There's no 90-day certification like you see with long-term care.
Right. Even if you
Certainly.
need a 2 week physical therapist in your house for 2 weeks after you sprained your knee, and you can't get into the shower, out of bed in the morning, the doctor certifies you need help with these 2 out of 6 ADLs. They'll send in a home health care aide or a nurse or a physical therapist for, 5 days a week for 2 weeks until you're recovered, as long as the doctor certifies that.
Right, that's huge with these policies. People don't, know how the extent of the easy access to the claims. Great question. You see any more in there?
Yeah, and we've been getting this a lot. When it will the Manhattan Life Home Health Care Enhanced be in Ohio? We've got a lot of agents in
Million dollar
Ohio.
question.
Yeah, $1 million question. We do have some good news. We do expect, we heard today, we do expect it in Ohio, Colorado, South Dakota, and Wyoming by the end of the month, towards the end of June, around June 26th, we're hoping for. But that's tentative. It will be here very soon, in other words.
Yep. And we'll obviously once that's released, put it in our news or good news, and um, we'll let you guys know. So if you're not subscribed to receiving our emails, I highly recommend doing that.
And then another question, are any of these products going to be available in Minnesota anytime soon? And yes, we are very hopeful. Call Governor Walz's office. The bill is on his desk to be signed. We just need his signature, and these plans will be able to file them for approval with the State Department in Minnesota very shortly, we hope.
Yes. Pen to paper walls. Let's go.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, we are actually in Minnesota, so
Yes, we are. It's been a
good
long
stuff.
journey trying to get short-term care and home health care plans approved here, but Tom Wright on our team here, we have made quite a bit of progress we're proud of. So should be here very soon. Another question, wouldn't Medicare pay for home health care as long as doctor says that it's medically necessary? And that is, it's a double-edged blade there. I mean, the doctor says that it's medically necessary, but it also has to follow a 3-day hospital stay for Medicare to pay for home care after an event. And that skilled care, you must be improving while receiving that skilled care for the 100 days. If you're not improving anymore, they're going to pull that skilled care from you since you're not going to improve. So you can depend on Medicare for those 100 days, but there are so many caveats that if you're in the hospital and it's observation and you're not admitted, they're not going to pay you for it. So it's always good, especially for a free home healthcare plan, to add this on top of that. But Medicare can pay for some of these services as long as you fit right within those guidelines.
Right, and you
If
can collect on both, no matter what other coverage you have. So why wouldn't you, get that
that too.
indemnity cash on top of it?
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever Medicare pays, this will pay additional. No coordination of benefits. And let's see. Yes, it is an indemnity that pays on top of what Medicare pays. What is the bill name or number if we call Governor Walz's office? We will send that up in the follow-up email. We should have had that ready to go for you, but we will get that information out in the follow-up email. Thank you for that question.
Yes,
The
thank you, Scott.
more, yeah, the more eyes and ears on it, the more people that he knows is looking, I think the more chance he will sign it.
Yep,
So we'll get
absolutely.
from there. And that looks like all the questions so far.
Yeah, if anything else comes to mind, feel free to reach out to us. Again, that's what we're here for.
And one
Love to
other
hear from
thing,
you.
yeah, one other thing, it wasn't a question here, but for folks that can't get a short-term care or long-term care plan, you can always stack these home health care plans on top of one another and they don't coordinate benefits. So you can coordinate, you can claim on one at a time, or we would advise to claim on, however many home health care plans you have together all at once. But you can stack these to make an even more powerful plan.
Great point. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for joining in again. Call us if you need anything. We're here. You can even text us too. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. You take care.
Thanks, Morgan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Check out our website, goldencareagent.com, or give us a call at 800 842 7799.